Just a quick walk around and talk about my newest bike. It's a 2023 KTM 390 Adventure. I got it about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Trying to get it set up for my next trip. I did a video a little while back on my Belligerent Mechanics page on a KTM 390 Duke, and the theme of the video was, why do older riders buy these small bikes? So I can answer a few of those questions for you in pretty short order. The fact of the matter is that I've gotten older. I am 53 years old now, and I've been riding motorcycles since 1979. I've lost count of all the motorcycles I've had. But as I've gotten older, I enjoy wrestling a motorcycle less and less and less. So I wanted a light bike that was distance capable and was easy to handle and was not, stupid expensive and was relatively comfortable. And so we can look at this bike here and talk about a couple of the pros and a couple of the cons real quick, just nothing too involved. But pro number one, it does have a little windscreen. I'm old, remember. I've got a really bad neck and I can't deal with the wind for very long, especially hard buffeting. So it comes factory with a windscreen that is adjustable for 2 positions. Not super tall, not super low. I always add my little clip-on doohickey here. Gives it just enough to put that wind right at the forehead of my helmet. Next thing is it has a seat that I can actually sit on for somewhat extended periods of time. The way I judge my seats is if I can sit on them for at least an hour at a time and not want to throw myself in front of a truck, then I can pretty much live with it for long duration stuff, because I do stop at least every hour. That's kind of my rules. Another pro, awesome TFT display down there. The nice thing about these is that all the stuff that the bigger, way more expensive models get as far as the electronics go, they do transfer down to even the smaller bikes, and this is considered a bargain bike. I paid $8,500 for it out the door in Oregon here. Gresham Power Sports. Nice thing about those folks, they give you an out the door price. Everything, there's no extra BS thrown in. It's what it costs them and what the retail price is. So $8,500 came with 4 years of registrations too. That's a pretty good deal, especially in Oregon where they're really killing us on vehicle registrations. So the TFT display is really nice. It's super legible. It's super easy to navigate. If you can run an iPhone, you can run this TFT display. It's very simple. The navigation is all right here on the left bar, and it's really quick and easy to set up. And then another nice thing that carries over from the large models is that at nighttime all of these backlight, so you can see all of your controls at night in the dark, and the cluster here will automatically turn to a different brightness and a different color a little bit after hours, after night. Pretty sweet, pretty nice. KTM also includes a GPS mount right up underneath there. It's just a place where you can put your GPS mount. That's really handy too. Having them on the bars and stuff is just a total pain in the ass. It's really great if you can get it up here and it stays out of the way. Ram mounts, lock that stuff on. It doesn't go anywhere. And I've crashed my other bikes with the phones in that ram mount, and they still held on. So I gotta hand it to them. That's pretty good stuff. Another pro is going to be the weight of this bike. This thing is an absolute blast on these twisty roads like this. I am out here having a ball. I'm trying to get some miles on this thing so I can hit that 600-mile break-in, so I can get the quick shifter usable and be able to rev this thing out. Right now it's hitting 6,500, I think, on red. It's starting to, it hits the red line. It's about 6,500. They don't want you to over rev the motors in that first 600 miles. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just tooling around all the backcountry roads. Those are some of the pros. What are some of the cons? Super quick. that seat is entirely too high off the ground. The bike is aimed at newer riders or maybe smaller stature riders because it's only a 370, I think it's 370, 375 cc bike. It is not a big rocket ship motorcycle. So to have, I think it's a 33-inch seat height. I'm about 5'10", and I have to stand on my toes and maybe the ball of my feet whenever I'm sitting at a stop on this thing. That shouldn't be a deal breaker for you, but that's still pretty tall, especially, you know, if you're just a shorter rider. So I don't get it. I got nothing. I don't know why the hell they did that. And then to boot, I've only got like 6 inches or 7 inches of ground clearance, so it doesn't make sense why the seat had to be so high. But don't let that be a deal breaker. You can soften the fully adjustable suspension front and rear. You can soften the shock, and that way when you get your weight on the seat, it helps squat the suspension down a little bit. And of course, if you're like me, you're going to be putting luggage on, you're going to be doing some longer distance traveling, and that helps too, you know, helps bring the seat height down. Let's see here. The next thing that I would consider kind of a con, of course, is the swing arm is really long on this bike, and so the chain is also really long on this bike, and I'm having a hard time getting used to the throttle feel, because the throttle, it's ride by wire. There's no cables, it's ride by wire, and I don't think I've ever had a bike that was ride by wire completely. Like maybe my BMW was, I don't remember, but it seemed a hell of a lot smoother than this does. So a combination of that big old long chain and that funky throttle I'm trying to get used to, it feels jerky, and it's a little bit off-putting. I don't like it to feel like that. I like it to feel smooth and immediate, but probably just things I can adjust out, I hope. Let's see here. Other than that, shifting right now, I'm hoping that's going to get better too. I've watched a lot of videos online about how hard it is to find neutral on these bikes. This is 2023, brand spanking new. It's still a pain in the ass. Sometimes I just give up. I can't seem to find neutral, and I have had dozens of motorcycles through the years. Some of my Ducatis were really hard to find neutral on, but this one here, I don't know. They say there's a clutch adjustment I can make. They say there's a linkage adjustment I can make, but otherwise, I'm definitely going to have to do something with it. They are geared kind of tall, right off the floor, and so I hear a lot of people have stalling issues because you know, I think it's probably the funkiness between the clutch, the throttle, and you know, it's kind of a jerky drivetrain in general. So I can understand how newbies would probably stall this thing a lot. Like I said, I've not stalled it, but I could definitely see how somebody could. Let's see here. And then of course the other thing, it's not really a con, it's one of the reasons the bike is so light, and that's the size of the motor. It's 370, I think it's 373 cc's. It is somewhere 40 to 44 horsepower, I think is what they're rated at. And I think it's probably got like 5 foot-pounds of torque. This thing just does not make torque. But I did come from a KLR 650, which has gobs of torque, but not really much horsepower. Torque is a real valuable thing to have. So again, you got to take the trade-off there. You get the nice small lightweight package, but you're going to lose a bunch of horsepower. You're going to lose a bunch of torque. Well, let me rephrase that. This one gains horsepower on the KLR, but it does lose a substantial amount of torque. So you do find yourself, if you're going to pass somebody, you better get out the oar, because you're going to be rowing through the gearbox, man. You got to get that motor. It doesn't make anything below 4,000 RPM. And right now with the 6,500 rev line, I got like 2,500 RPM to work with here. So just trying to get through the break-in period. Anyway, I'll do other videos on this particular bike. It is brand new, and I do tend to keep my bikes for longer periods of time. So talk to you next time.